who are joining for the first time in your first session, welcome. Excited for you to be joining in on Margreeman. For this session, I would like to introduce you to our amazing speaker today, Timothy Ziter, who will be providing some great insights on how to design and build custom journeys in the Marketing Cloud Journey Builder. So go ahead and take it away, Tim.
Thanks, Chris. Welcome, everybody. So I'm Tim Ziter. I work for Cervello. We are a Marketing Cloud Salesforce partner with Salesforce and build out automated solutions for clients. So thanks, everybody, for taking the time this afternoon, especially on a Friday afternoon, to dive into Journey Builder. So let's get started. So today we're going to do a quick overview of our case study that's going to frame our build. We're going to go through a couple of Martech tools, dive into our Salesforce CRM environment just to look at the setup there. And that's going to set up our build in Journey Builder. We're going to cover 3 different areas of Journey Builder: the entry event, 2 different ways, some canvas activities, decision splits, and object activity. And then we'll go through the content itself. We'll leave a Q&A session at the end of the demo. So digging into our case study, so we've got Cervello Bank. They're looking to grow their commercial banking business. They've invested in this all-out marketing blitz that has generated a ton of leads, but they're just not seeing the client conversion on the back end. The problem is that sales is swamped. They don't have time to follow up on these leads. They're unqualified. They don't trust them. By the time they follow up on them, they're cold and they're not productive. So marketing's got they want an automated solution to solve that problem, to qualify those leads and help with bottom funnel conversion. So they're looking for 4 areas for this solution. 1, they want a solution that ranks and prioritizes those leads in easy to understand buckets. 2, they want to nurture those leads. 3, they want to notify sales when they're to follow up on those hot leads. And they want an always on solution, something that's automated. So digging in with marketing, we put together this flow that goes through the 2 platforms. So here's in the Sales Cloud is where the leads are being created or uploaded by marketing. And here's where we're going to want to fold in that ranking system, not only from the lead standpoint, but also from the account standpoint as well. Once those leads are fed into Marketing Cloud, we're going to want to send them down 3 different paths based on that ranking. A hot path where we're going to want to create a task for that lead owner, and then also send them a hot lead notification that gives all the details about that lead. If you're in a warm lead, we're going to want to send an email to that lead to try to get that first sales appointment. If they engage with that lead, they're going to be fed up to the hot path. If they don't, they're going to be fed down to our classic nurture path, our cold path, where they're going to be served up a variety of different marketing experiences, whether those are emails. But before each email send, we're going to want to make sure that that lead is still open based on the CRM environment. So to pull in our ranking solution, we've brought in 2 partners today to help build out that solution. So SalesWings is a fantastic lead ranking solution that allows you to populate that lead ranking score right in the CRM environment. You can see it here down here. There's a simple hot, warm, and cold. It's based on intent tagging and a variety of different variables that we won't go into today, but we've got Jeffrey Poley from SalesWings in the chat if you have any questions throughout the presentation related to SalesWings. We also want to bring in Demandbase, the top account-based marketing solution as well, where we're going to be gathering all this engagement metrics, not just on the lead level, but on the account level, how that account is being interacted by all those leads and contacts across the board, and bubble that up to a single tier ranking field, whether that's going to be tier 1, 2, or 3, hot, warm, and cold as well. We've got Tara Quell from Demandbase in the chat if you have any questions related to Demandbase as well. So taking those 2 ranks, we wanted to put together a simple matrix for our presentation today. So if someone has a hot lead score from SalesWings and they have a tier 1 hot score from Demandbase, we're going to rank that lead as hot. We want to send them down the path that notifies sales immediately. If that lead has a hot rank, but has a lower account score, then they're going to go down the warm path. Same thing for a warm lead with a top account lead, a warm path as well. Again, we want to push those leads to drive for that first sales meeting. And then all other leads will be in a cold status, cold ranking. Our last Martech partner is DE Select. I mean, at the heart of every marketing automation solution is a complex SQL query, the real engine of the solution. And what DE Select does is give you the ability to create those complex queries with clicks, not code, create them quickly and easily, make those modifications without knowing SQL code. So we've got Danny Kopak from DE Select in the chat as well if you have any questions related to DE Select. So let's dive into the platform and go right into the Salesforce CRM environment. So here we are in Salesforce. Let's go into the lead tab, into the lead object. So for this demo, we've got 3 different leads set up. We've got a hot, warm, and cold lead. Let's click into the lead itself and just take a look at the details. Just like with any object, there are some basic information that's provided out of the box. But here's that predictive score that we talked about from Salesforce that we've got incorporated right into the lead object itself. So we're going to be using that throughout the solution. I also want to call out this hot lead field. This field we're going to use to populate from our lead nurture solution to fire a hot lead notification to the owner of this lead. Let's go over to the account tab and take a look at accounts as well. Again, we've got some accounts set up for this solution. And just like the lead object, there's some out-of-the-box fields that are provided for any account. And then here's all the great detail that's provided by demand base, engagement minutes, engaged contacts within that account, all bubbled up to this account tier that we're going to use for the demo today. Here we have an account that's tier 1 hot. Before we dive into Marketing Cloud, I wanted to show you one section of CRM that's always good to get familiar with. As we are going to be creating a task, we want to know what the settings are for that task object in the CRM environment. So we're going to go to Object Manager. We're going to look for the task object. We're going to go to these page layouts. And this is going to tell us what fields that are required by the Salesforce CRM environment in order for you to create a task on the Marketing Cloud side. And those are all designated with these red stars. So we're just going to make a mental note when we do our settings in the journey in the Marketing Cloud environment. We want to make sure that we're covering all 4 of these fields. All right, so let's jump into Marketing Cloud. We've got our journey set up, our lead nurture journey. Let's take a look at what this is doing. So we've got our 3 paths. Here's our hot path. It's coming through. We're going to be creating a task. We'll be going through that later, and then updating the lead to fire the hot lead notification. We've got our warm path. Here's that email that we're going to send to try to get them to talk to sales. So if they engage with that email, they're going to get fed back up to the hot path. And then we've got our cold path. If that person engages, if they don't engage, they're going to get fed down to the cold path, or that traditional lead nurture path where they're being fed different email communications and checking for that open status before they get sent those communications. Let's hop over to the hot lead notification journey. So this one's relatively straightforward. All we're doing is sending to the owner of that lead an email, that hot lead notification. So we'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a minute. So let's talk about the first section for the most important part of any journey, and that's the entry event. So how are we pulling in those leads from the Salesforce CRM environment? So in this journey, I've got a draft open. Here you can see we're on version 20. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this data extension entry event so we can recreate it and just walk through that process. So because we have an automation set up, we are creating a data extension that has those leads that we're going to feed into this journey. So what we want to do is we want to click on that data extension. We want to find that data extension that we've set up to that automation. So I'm just going to select that data extension here. And we're going to hit summary and select that button there. When we select that, a schedule button pops up, or a schedule block. We're going to click into here. We're going to connect it to that automation that we've got set up in the back end. And so here it is, that automation that's already created. We're going to select summary. And here we're going to, so let me select that automation, select summary. And here's our last step, is we're going to want to select how those records are going to be evaluated upon entry. We recommend using the evaluate new records only. It's a little bit more performant. And then for this example, we're going to use only new records added after journey activation. So clicking on that, we should be all done to set up that automation. And there we go for that entry event. But that's really just the beginning of it. That's just connecting that data extension. Now we need to dive into how are we creating that data extension. And to do that, let's dive into the query back in Marketing Automation Studio. So let's take a look at this sample query. What we're looking to do is we're looking to pull in those leads from the Salesforce CRM environment. And that's where this from statement in the SQL query is doing. So this lead underscore Salesforce is a synchronized data extension. So what is a synchronized data extension? If you have the Marketing Cloud connector, you'll have access to synchronized data extensions. They get automatically created. You sync them over. Here are all of the objects that we have in this instance. So any object that you want to bring over, you just synchronize over into the Marketing Cloud environment. So let's click into the lead object. And here we're seeing all of these fields that are available. You can sync over any field from the object over into the Marketing Cloud environment into this synchronized data extension. Let's take a look at these records. I mean, here's all that data. Look at all this amazing data. This is all being populated from the object in the Salesforce CRM environment. And it's synchronized every 15 minutes. So it's real-time data within that 15-minute period. So going back into this query, here's that lead synchronized data extension. And these are all those fields we referenced that we're going to want to populate. That's what this select statement is doing. It's populating all these fields into a data extension. So for instance, we're going to want to pull in that lead ID and use that as a subscriber key or that unique key for each email. We want to pull in the email address so we can send them the email. This first name we're going to use for personalization. Here's that Sales Wings predictive score we're pulling in as well. We also want to pull in this demand-based account tier score as well. So to do that, we have to join the account synchronized data extension to the lead in our from statement. And that gives us the ability to populate that field there. The last part of the query is a where clause statement. Just gives a filter. We don't want to pull in all leads. We want to pull in leads that have a status of open, and then we want to, because we're going to be running this on an hourly basis, we want to pull in those leads that have been created within the last hour. So you do need to know a little bit of SQL here in order to use this date add function and the different syntax that's required here. So this really sets up how DE-Select can make this a lot easier. So let's click into DE-Select and take a look at how this similar query can be set up in their environment. So at the first screen, when you select a selection in the selection criteria, you're going to be setting up the from statement here. The great thing about this platform is they've got all of these data extensions here that are available in your environment. You just literally just bring them right over, click and drag them in. What's really cool is this ability to link the two data extensions just with clicks. So for instance, I want to link the lead synchronized data extension by the company name. All these fields are available, just click on it. And I want to associate it with the name of the account. I mean, really easy to set that up. Click no code. Down here's that filter section or that where clause in that query. And again, same thing, all the fields from both of those objects are here. You can just take a look at those. You drag them and drop them over. You don't have to use SQL. You can select the calendar date. Very easy to do. Click not code. In the second section, this is where we're going to be defining all of those fields that we want to populate in the data extension itself. So just like in the screen before, here are all the fields for the lead. Here's the fields for the accounts. You just drag them over. And as you can see for the solution, we're bringing over quite a few fields to populate this solution. Here's that predictive score from Sales Wings. Here's that account score from Demand Base. So super easy to do that. So one thing that we're going to be also doing to make this solution a little bit more simple is that we're going to aggregate both the Sales Wings ranking and the Demand Base ranking into one ranking, this lead ranking simple. So DE-Select has this great tool, this custom value tool allows you to consolidate those two fields into one new field. So all you do is click in here and you just set up your requirements. So I want to set a hot rank to somebody who has a Sales Wings predictive score of hot and an ABM tier score of tier 1 hot. And it's as easy as that. So here's going to consolidate those two fields down to a single field that we can drive our solution. The best thing about DE-Select is you click run and it creates the data extension and the query for you. You don't have to do a thing. Super amazing. Let's click into the data extension that was created, all these fields that we just selected. Let's go into the data. Here are those three leads that we're bringing over. And I just wanted to point out that lead ranking simple field that we had created. So here's that field. those 3 different rankings. That's a combination of that Sales Wings predictive score and the ABM tier score. So all we have to worry about is this one field when we go into our automation and feed that into our journey. All right, let's go over to the automation and take a look at what we've got going here. So we need to attach the query to the automation in order to feed that data extension into the journey itself. So when you create an automation, you're going to want to schedule, in this example, a scheduled automation, because we want this to be running every hour. And then all you do is just drag over the SQL query activity onto the canvas. You select the query that deselected created for you. Once you connect it to the journey, this journey entry activity will pop up automatically. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause this automation for now, because we're going to be running this manually to feed in those leads into the journey itself. So let's go back into Journey Builder, and there it is. That's the end-to-end process of how to set up a data extension entry event for that use case, both in Journey Builder and in Automation Studio. So I want to hop over to our hot lead notification journey to show you a different way to set up an entry event. This is going to be an entry event that's pulling in data directly from the Salesforce CRM environment. So in this journey, I've got a draft as well, which we can just go in here and delete this with no harm being done there. And we're going to bring over our Salesforce data entry event. So let's click into that, and we're going to select Salesforce data here. So when you do this, you'll have access to every Salesforce object. So we're going to be looking for the lead object to pull in. Whenever a lead is updated with a certain field, we're going to send them through a hot lead notification to the owner of that lead. So all we do is select the lead object. We're going to select that here. And here's where we're going to select the audience of who this email is going to be going to. So you can either send it to the lead itself, but for this use case, we're going to send it to the owner of that lead. So we're going to select the owner. You've got 2 options here for the subscriber key. For this use case, we're going to use the user ID as a subscriber key. So there's our audience, the owner. And here's where we're going to select that field that we only want to pull in leads sent to this owner that have this field, this hot lead field. Here it is. We're going to drag that over here. And whenever they have this hot lead rank syntax, sent hot lead email, select that there. And there you go. So whenever that field is updated for a lead to sent hot lead email, that's signifying, hey, this lead is ready to be contacted by sales. It's going to be sent an email to that lead owner. The next section is filter criteria. You can add in a layer of complexity to bring in other objects like account or contact if there's other fields that are dependent that you want to pull that over. But for this use case, we don't need to do that. And then the last part is how to select all of that great data that we're looking to personalize in the email itself. So for instance, we want to bring over the company name for that lead. We want to bring over the email address in case that rep wants to reach out to the email. So it's simple, easy, just to click. Here's first name, full name, and then all you do is you can see those being populated here, those fields that you're selecting. Let's select next. And then this gives you the summary of what you've just selected here. So this, again, this is going to whom? This is going to the owner of the lead object. And it's going to be sent and be brought in whenever a lead has a field, this hot lead field populated with sent hot lead email. And these are the fields that are being populated. So let's go over and take a look at the data extension that gets created whenever you activate this type of journey. So here are all the fields that we want to populate based on the selection that we did in the journey itself. And let's take a look at the data as well. So here's all that data that gets passed. Again, this is just coming from the lead itself, all those objects directly as soon as that lead gets created. So it's another way the Salesforce entry event creates this data extension for you automatically. So let's go back to the journey. What we're going to do is we're going to refresh this journey just to clear out the changes that we had just made. Let's go here to the lead nurture journey. We're going to clear this out as well. And we're going to activate the automation and send those leads through and get some emails being sent. So we're going to come into this automation. We're going to run this once. We're going to select all these activities. It's going to run the query and send those hot leads through to the journey itself. You can click on the activity tab and see it running. Sometimes you have to, based on Salesforce time, you have to see, there it goes. It's doing its work. So let's go back into the journey itself. While that is happening, let's take a look and do a deeper dive into the different activities outside of the entry event. So our first stop is going to be how to create a task and update a lead in the Salesforce CRM environment. So here in Journey Builder, there's a bunch of different activities that you can use to do that. You can see that if you wanted to create or update a lead or a task, they're right here. We definitely recommend using this object activity, as it'll work for all objects, and it's best practice. It's the most reliable. So all you do is drag that and drop that over here in the canvas. But since we already have one created, let's dive in and see how this is being built. So the first step you're going to want to do in the object activity is to find the object that you want to update or create. So we're going to be selecting task for this. We're going to be creating a new one. And then here are all those fields that we're going to look to populate in the task, again, based on the setup that's in the Salesforce CRM environment. So let's say, okay, I want to assign this to whom. You go and you click in the pencil, and you want to send this to the owner ID. So fortunately, that's one of the fields that we have populated. Here's that owner ID. So just give you an example of how that gets populated. You select that field in the data extension, and it creates this handlebars code here right in the platform. Let me give you another example of that. So down here in the subject, what we want to do is we want to populate to the owner a message that says, attention, you have a hot, warm, or cold lead using this customization, and it's for this company. So to do that, you have to do a little bit of a workaround. So let me show you how that's done. So we're going to copy this static code. We're going to drop it into this notepad. I'm also going to copy this other static code. And let's copy that. We'll drop it in this notepad as well. And then let's click into the settings. So let's find that lead ranking simple field in the data extension. There it is. And it creates that handlebar code. As you can see, it replaces what was ever there before. So you kind of have to do this one at a time. So here's where we're going to want to put in that ranking there. And then let's go back in here. Let's find that company field. Yeah, again, a different code pops up there. Let's copy that in here. And then we're going to paste that in there. And then you just copy this entire block and you paste it in this section. And there you go. That's how you can populate, personalize a field with multiple variables in there. So we'll cancel out of that. And so then scrolling down through here, just like we looked at in the Salesforce CRM environment, we needed to make sure that we populated like the priority field and the status field, just to make sure that we're doing that so that these tasks will be created in the CRM environment. You click next, it gives you an overview of all those fields you're looking to create or populate, and then the data that you're looking to populate in there. And that's it. That's how you set up an object activity for creating a task. Let's just refresh this journey and see what's going on. Hopefully we've got some people coming into the journey, those leads coming in. Yep. And so here we go. Let's go back to, so we've got some people coming into the journey itself. You can see that we've got some records coming in, and this was a prior run journey where I had one person coming through the warm lead, and they actually have come through again. So let's go into my email and see if I've received an email. Yep. So here's that warm lead. Let me click into this email. I want to click in here to see if we can get this lead to move up to the hot path. So we're going to click in there, and hopefully we should see this 2 move up here and create this to be a 4 with the leads coming in here. So let's dive back into the taking a look at the object activity for a lead updating functionality. So here we go. Let's dive in here. So the first object activity, we created a task. Here we want to select the lead, and we want to just update a single field in that lead to send a hot lead notification. So here we go. Here's the lead ID that we'd want to select. And then we want to select, in our case, in the journey itself, the subscriber key is the field that we want to designate as that lead ID. We click next, And then we want to find that hot lead field here. Here it is. Here's that hot lead field. And then we're just going to put in that static value, sent hot lead email. So that's all done there. You hit next. Again, it gives you the summary of that field you're updating and the value that you're updating it to. Okay, so let's cancel out of that. And then let's go into that hot lead notification. I should have received one. Here we go. Here's this lead is ready to talk. Let's click into the email that I did receive. So here's all that data that we saw in that data extension that came through that lead object. In addition, the way we set this up is the lead ID is clickable. So if you click on this lead, it should take you into the CRM environment to that lead itself. So quick and easy for the salesperson. They don't have to go and copy that code and go in the CRM environment. Just with one click. And here's that task that we generated from the journey. So if we click in here, here's that attention. You have a hot rank for this company, Carney, personalized task using that solution. Let's dig into the lead itself. And here's that sent hot lead email field that is now populated as we saw it was blank before. So that's what's triggering the hot lead notification on that end. All right, so let's dive back into this journey. Let's refresh this the counts and see if we've got this hot lead path brought up to the warm path brought up to the hot lead. And still taking its time. So it's still deciding upon it. So that should change to a 2 and that should change to a 4 in a minute. So while we're waiting for that, let's go to our hot lead notification and see what's going on there. We should have received at least 1. I think I had started out with 2 here. So yeah, now it's 3. That's the email that I received just now for the test. And then the last part we're going to want to dive into is the email content itself. So let's click into the email content for both of these journeys. And we'll take a look at what's going on in the background for the email content itself. Okay, so this is the hot lead email. Let's take a look at the email itself. I'll go preview and test this email. Okay, so to preview this email, let's select the data extension that is being fed by that hot lead notification journey. So we're going to scroll down and find that data extension. Here we go. And we'll just select the last lead, that last hot lead that was created, so that we can see here's all that data being populated. Here's that link. So what I wanted to show you was how we set up this, this link that goes directly into the lead in the Salesforce CRM environment. So to do that, let's take a look at the URL that we clicked on. And as you can see in the URL in the CRM environment, there's that lead ID right embedded in the URL. So what we wanted to do is copy this URL, and let's go back into the email content itself. At the top of the email, I've got this code snippet that does this work, which basically what we want to do is we want to take that same URL and we want to cut it up into 3 pieces. So here's the first part of that URL before that lead ID. And here's the last part. And this concat function is sort of combining all 3 of these parts into one URL. And so to get that lead ID, we're setting it up here. Here's that lead ID that's set based on the field that's being populated by the data extension. And that's how that works. You're just going to be recreating this URL, dropping in that custom lead ID for each time that it gets set. And then to render this in the email itself, let's go down over here and take a look in the HTML content where that's being rendered. So here's that variable, that @URL, that is being redirected to when they click on, it's an A tag here, when they click on that lead ID. So that's how it's working in the hot lead notification. Let's dive over into the email content for the nurture emails and take a look at what's going on here. And again, I'm going to have to select that data extension for the nurture journey. So let's go here. We're going to select that data extension. And that's under here, under this folder. And let's select this final. And then let's select the warm lead here. We'll select that. And let's go into the content just to show what's going on here. So I've got some basics personalization up here where we're rendering the first name, and that's pretty easy. Just do the %. The first name is the value of that first name field in the date extension. We've got two different dynamic content blocks here. Here's the first dynamic content block. It's rendering different content based on the product that we pulled in that DE select statement, DE select date extension. So if they have 401k, they're going to get 401k product or credit cards. The second dynamic content block, it's rendering a special call to action message that's going to be more offer focused for any lead that is either got that lead ranking simple as a hot rank or that lead ranking simple is a warm rank. And then the last block I want to call out is this custom signature block where it's going to render the name, the phone number, the email address, and the title for the owner of that lead, personalizing that. So let's just take a look at how that is set up in this code snippet. So what this is doing, it is pulling in the owner ID from the date extension. That's what we're being populated from the DE select query. And it's doing a lookup to the user synchronized date extension in Marketing Cloud. So the user has all of that owner ID's information, their name, their phone number, etc. So if it finds that owner in that user synchronized date extension, then it's going to associate these values, name, title, email, and phone, with that record. If it can't find it, it'll do default values as well. So there's a consistent experience there. So let's preview and test this content and see what we've got coming here. So here's that first name that's being populated there. Let's scroll down and take a look here at, so here's that product. They selected credit card processing. You can see the credit card content coming through here. Because they are a warm rank lead, they're getting that special call to action button that we're driving them to get that first sales appointment. And then here's that custom signature panel that's rendering, I'm the owner of that lead, so that's rendering my name, title, phone number, and email address there. So that's it on the content side. Let me jump back into my deck and just do a quick recap. So hopefully that gives a good overview and gives a solution that accomplishes those 4 things that we were looking for our marketing partners. One, we found a way, thanks to Sales Wings and Demand Base, to rank those leads and using DE Select to put them to easy buckets. Second, we're able to nurture those leads with an automated journey. We're able to notify sales using that hot lead notification. And we've built an always-on solution that is automated. And then within Journey Builder, hopefully we gave you a good overview of the entry event, 2 different ways, both a data extension and that Salesforce data entry event. Those key activities, those decision splits, object activity, and hopefully a little bit of a dive into content itself. So that wraps up our presentation, and I'll stop sharing and pass it over to Chris.
All right, thanks, Tim. That was a great session. Learned a lot of good stuff in there. Things that I never knew you can make so easy inside of Journey Builder. So we've got about 10 minutes for some questions and Q&A. So feel free to throw those into the Q&A chat, and we will pull them out. I see we've already got a couple in there. So let's go ahead and share this question from Kim. The example of sending the email alert to the lead owner. Does the lead owner need to first exist as a subscriber in SFMC?
That's a great question. And no, it does not. It's as long as that is being synchronized over in the Marketing Cloud environment, it should work when it's being sent. It will create it as a subscriber when that is being sent. To that user ID will be the subscriber key and the email address. So no, it does not need to be a subscriber in Marketing Cloud first.
Okay, great. And one more from Kim. Can you explain again why it's better to use the object activity item to create a task versus using the task item within the journey?
Yeah, great question. And it's something that we've, seen within in the community, that I think those task or lead activities were the first iteration from Salesforce. And that object activity, I think, is the new version of that functionality. So I think it's just recommended. I think it's more supported to use that object activity versus versus those individual activities. I think these individual activities might actually go away at some point. It's also a little bit easier to support if you're looking to document a process within your team and you're looking to do, set up that activity. If you're following the same process where you're documenting this object activity, so whether you're creating a lead or a task or a contact, it's always the same process. You bring out for the object activity, you create you select the object at that point, versus documenting for this is the task activity, this is the lead activity. Might be helpful from that standpoint as well.
Awesome. We've got another one in here from Jenna. Are there pros and cons to using the data extension entry source versus the method that pulls directly from Salesforce?
That's a great question, and it's something that we work on all the time when we're trying to find solutions for our clients. I mean, ideally, you'd want to pull it from the Salesforce CRM environment, use those Salesforce data entry events. Because it's just in time, right? As soon as that lead or any of those objects get created, boom, they get pulled into the CRM environment. Using an automation, the fastest you can get it is, they run hourly. And you can put a wait step in, so you can run it every 15 minutes. But there is that time gap. So there's definitely benefits from the Salesforce data standpoint, from a speed standpoint. But as you can see from the query that was created, and also especially from DE Select, the DE Select tools, the ability from a query to access a variety of whatever combination of synchronized data extensions or data points within the CRM environment, that's where you're going to want to lean to an automation-fed journey. So in our use case, we were looking to pull in lead fields and account fields for that lead nurture journey. Could you do that with the Salesforce data? You probably could, but sometimes you're sort of relegated to the way that's set up in Journey Builder. Whereas with a query, you'll have full control, full visibility, and you'll be able to see that data output. So I would use those in a combination. Definitely, consider both options. But if it gets a little bit complicated with that Salesforce data, I would definitely lean to the data extension query automation based fed journey side.
All right, great. Are there any other questions that people want to ask? Feel free to post them into the Q&A chat. If they're already in the chat, we can answer them there. If there's any questions for Tim's guests, we can certainly try and answer those as well. All right. Well, if there's no other questions that we have today, that'll conclude today's session. Thanks again for joining us, and a special shout out to our sponsors for their support. Without them, Marjorie wouldn't be possible. So make sure that you pop over into the sponsor boost to learn more about what they all do, and to see what they can offer. We have a lot of great sessions still left today. The next one in this channel is going to be how to deploy data for success, scale, and customer experience, and that's going to be coming up in just a few minutes. Otherwise, if you wanted to check out some of the other channels or some of the other pieces that we have, head over to the agenda and check out the full list. So with that said, thank you again, Tim, for a great presentation on Journey Builder.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for all the help, and thanks for everyone attending, and thanks for the partners that joined us on the call as well. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you all, and have a good rest of your day.